I win? Thanks.
All right, we should be live. You guys cannot hear me in the game, to be clear, right? Nope. All right. So those of you who are watching the stream, just let me know. Are you able to hear the players? Because you should not be able to hear the players just based on how the software and everything is set up. So let me know. What up, my friends? Tanner here, Kryptik TCG. We are live streaming the finals of the Tabletop Sim tournament. It's pretty exciting stuff. We've got TCG Breakers that's on a control mystic type strategy, and then we've got Saws who is on. I'll make sure you can't hear me. Yeah, Saws who's on like a Duke Raka based like mid range kind of control ascendant strategy. I can hear them, but you guys should not be able to hear them. Let me know. Maybe you can hear them a little in the background, which is fine.
Yep.
Derek, what up, my friend? He's got turn one, Pollux. Wait, who this is? Who this is?
Yeah, I don't have that thing though on me. Okay.
That's Breakers.
In front of you? No. I think if we don't, I think if we don't make
No, what happened was Tanner created the room and then went into spectator mode, and then it took the turns thing with him.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do it. We'll just do this and this.
So Pollux, for you who don't know, let's see how that looks on the screen. Okay, I've got to kind of pull this down a little bit. There you go. Pollux. He's a steadfast mystic citizen. Cast a spell, Pollux becomes toxic until end of turn. And on his turn, he played Eligor, which is a mana dork that can engage 4 black. You can hear them extremely faintly. That's totally fine. Actually, maybe that's better.
Oh, I'm gonna pass turn.
You guys hear that, I assume?
Alright, disengage.
I actually told them they weren't going to be heard, so I'll just keep that down. So Freddy played a land, aka a soul card in our game. For those of you who don't know, this can produce blue, this can produce blue-green. And then we're just going to kind of see how he goes from here. Give you a little bit more to look at here. Let's try that setup. That seems pretty good. How's everyone doing today? I'm just happy to have some gameplay up on the YouTube channel. So he's got Duke Raka in the Soul Row, also in Osiris. So pretty interesting. Both played 1-drops. We're gonna see where it goes from here. Freddy played the Rosa. When Rosa enters the island, you may place 1 spell card from your limbo pile into the Soul Row engaged, and she gets buffed for all the Soul Row cards. So these are your Soul Row, and for every spell card in there, she gets +2/+2. P says, good luck, have fun. Thank you, my friend. Kaboom, thanks. He's on Aurora. Once per turn. During your turn only, you may choose citizen or spell. Randomly look at 1 card in any single opponent's hand. If it matches the type, select draw 1. So cool. He's Somber Sacrifice, which allows him to look at his 11-year cards. You may place one of them in your Soul Engage, draw 1, so it ramps you 1 and replaces itself. Hear music and commentary, all good. Nice. Thanks, Derek. Yeah, we're over here at the Kryptik warehouse right now. This is where all the magic happens. You know what I'm saying. No, but seriously, this is where we're going to be filling all the Kickstarter orders and everything. So I do stuff on Instagram at Kryptik TCG all the time showing the activity back here if you guys are interested. So I just love this art. Like, look at Aurora climbing out of her head. So sick. Yep, these folks know what they're doing. Pretty impressive. The gameplay has been awesome so far. There's like a ton of different decks, and I'm so happy that the finals is not a mirror match. And a lot of games, obviously, there's a lot of factors to this, but there's like a high likelihood that you'll see a mirror match, like some of the top tier decks in the format. And luckily, in this instance, the finals is 2 totally different strategies, which is awesome. Del, thanks, my friend. Bad Boy Gaming for pointing me in your direction. He had a video last year, Kickstarter, so unfortunately I did not get to join in. Yeah, TCS, I'm sorry about that. He had some stuff going on. I had some stuff going on, and the timing just didn't line up. So at least he got to it. I'm still happy he featured the game. And he will in the future, too, as we get more product to him. He just revealed an Osiris, which allowed him to draw a card because Aurora is pretty nuts. She allows you to look at your opponent, or not look at your opponent's hand, but look at a card in your opponent's hand, and if it matches the type you guessed, you get to draw a card. Pretty crazy. Just such a cool, fun card, too, and it's so crazy looking. I love this card. So they're developing their board states a bit, kind of going a little bit back and forth to see what's what. They've just taken the gameplay to a whole crazy level. Like, these people are very hardcore. They're using the die to denote their turns. He's attempting to capital punish Pollux, which allows you to destroy target citizen with total soul cost 2 or less. Very efficient spell. Only costs 1. Kills a thing. So on that, they're even. Card for a card. 1 for 1. Now he's got Aurora facing down Felicity and Eligor. Excrement occurs. Okay, solid. Is the reason I did back the Kickstarter. Dude, thanks, Jason. Yeah, we got a lot of good last minute backing from that. It's cool because it raises awareness and gets a few more boxes out on the market so that the demand at the time of the Kickstarter actually lines up with the amount of boxes made. Now it probably far outweighs it. So he's playing Infinity Blade. As an additional cost, he has to discard a card, abolish a card from his soul row, or destroy target citizen. And it's interesting because this is a black and green card, and he's playing a deck that is primarily blue and green. So he's pretty much just treating this as a mono green card. So to him, these symbols are both green, and what it can provide is green as well. Anybody has any questions about gameplay or how this game actually works, you can go ahead and ask me there. Yep, Craig Jones is correct. Capital Punishment can kill a 2-drop as well. And in that instance, you'd be trading up on 1. So you'd be getting a 1 soul advantage in that exchange. And you have the chance to pick and choose when you want to do it. It's just a good versatile card. He just casts an Osiris, which is a card that whenever you attack with an Ascendant Citizen, target citizen gets -3/-3 until end of turn. And then, of course, Freddy went in there with the Dead on Arrival, counter target citizen. So he's on a blue-green, like, Mystic Control type strategy. And then we've, of course, got my man Saws over here on a Ascendant strategy. Kind of a mid-range type thing. Branwyn into the Soul Row. Interesting. Branwyn actually allows your spell cards to be cast for 1 less, which is nice. And then you can cast disengage spell cards from your Soul Row, but they're abolished after they resolve, so you can't get any loops going. He just tried to cast a Nolan. Nolan has Sidestep. And he played Dithy, which is a very, very strong card. Dithy allows you to counter a citizen, and you can play anytime you can play a spell, so it essentially has flash for you guys that know what magic is. Might be overpowered in TTS in person. You would probably shuffle your hand like most people. TTS, you would just keep picking the card you already looked at. You can change the order of your cards on TTS as well easily, just dragging them back and forth, which, trust me, these types of players are doing. Charlie Ascendancy, very popular card. Gives us some +6/+6 sidestep, and you get to draw 1. Very good card. Very versatile. But again, like, he has no need for the white soul, so he's basically just treating this card as a mono blue card, which is cool because it kind of gives you, like, if you're playing this in a blue-white deck, like, say, a human deck, for example, it has that versatility and the ability to give you both. But if you want to make that sacrifice and run it in, say, a blue-green mystic deck, you don't get the upside of the dual mana or the dual soul. Just have to pay attention. Yeah, Craig's got it. The reason we're only streaming the finals is I didn't want to stream the semis and accidentally give information to the players that could potentially end up in the finals. Like, at this point, they've played each other, they're aware of each other's strategies, but they don't know every single card in their list, so they could be sitting there writing down the cards and gaining an advantage that way, and I don't want that to happen. So that's why we're only streaming the finals. So we got some back and forth going on here. Pretty interesting stuff. He's going to attempt to cast Big Daddy Duke Raka, which is going to be Rash Judgment, which is a counter. Able to counter and probe one. So he's on control, which if you guys have played any TCG before, you do understand that playing against a control player can be incredibly frustrating. But the goal will be for them to run out of gas so that you can run them over. Slight issue on the roll there, but they got it resolved. They're good to go. So where Freddy's gonna go from here. He's got 3 cards in hand, 2 out, and a Rosa is a nice play. If Rosa sticks, that's strong. I do believe that these are 2 of the better strategies in the format. This blue-green control type deck is very, very strong, but the Ascendants are just really, really good. And the cool thing is, like, Nolan is an undead citizen, and Duke Raka is Ascendant Overlord. The Ascendants and the undead in the lore of the game are allied, so they're able to be played in the same decks fairly easily. Of course, Nolan only produces green, and he can be played with black or green, so he's easy to cast, but not as useful in the soul row. But he wants access to that sidestep, and he wants access to the draw. Daomi is like a Lord effect, not to be confused with an Overlord card, so it gives all your Ascendants +2/+2. But more importantly, probably at the start of your combat phase, you can pay 2. Target citizen becomes Ravenous, which means they can destroy 2 11-year cards, meaning they can take 2 life. Counter with a K, I like it, Q. For those of you who have never seen this game be played before, I'll just give you like a quick little anatomy of a card lesson here. Make sure you can see it. So this is Rosa. She's a Mystic Citizen, as you can see underneath. Top right-hand corner is the rarity of the card. Left number is attack, right number is defense. The center is actually the cost. So this could be 2 of anything, 1 blue or green, 1 blue or green. The bottom right-hand corner, that blue one you see, is what it can provide as a soul card, or in another game, a land card. So Branwen can produce blue, Underworld Escort can produce blue or green. The little hourglass you see in the bottom left-hand corner is its 11-year cost. So say Freddy is attacking into his opponent and he destroys an 11-year card. That card is then revealed at instant speed. They're essentially losing a life, but they do get to play that card. And in that moment, the cost of that card would be that 3 in the bottom left-hand corner of Rosa. If you're unable to pay that cost, the card actually goes to your hand. So as you're getting your ass beat, you also get to draw cards, which is what is supposed to level the game out. Freddy's just basically creating like a monster board state. He was able to control the board early, and now he's able to just kind of double down on like getting all of his dudes out. So it's a good scoop. He had him kind of dead to rights, so he knew that the game was pretty much over, so he scooped. He had an Estrad and a Fortuity in hand, so he was able to bounce a card and draw 2 cards. Interesting game. That's a good example of a control deck just being able to stabilize by going tit for tat until they were able to gain an advantage and then just take over the game completely. Nolan is a good card that gave Saz TV the edge over my Duke Raka control deck. Huge repeating draw advantage. I kept drawing my counters a turn too late. Yep. Love the way the cards are designed. Really easy to read and understand what they are doing. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Definitely spent a lot of time doing that. We pulled the patrons, we pulled the Discord members, we did a lot of internal testing, and we actually did some readability testing with, I don't want to call them civilians because we're all technically civilians now, but with civilians. So like someone like my mom or my sister or whoever, they could look at a card and I could like quickly explain to them what the situation was on the card, and they go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Great White North, what up, my friend? So they are going into game 2, and what you're seeing here is they've got 2 piles. One is their deck and one is their side deck. So in between games, they're able to side cards in and out to give them an advantage in the matchup. So you can have 11 cards in your side deck, and in best 2 of 3s on game 2 and 3, between games, you're allowed some time to sub some cards in, basically. So it's like a tag team match. Your side deck's your tag team partner. You could tag them in to help whoop ass. That's pretty much it. He said, did not miss it. Woo. Ooh, miss what, I wonder? But yeah, you guys all had really strong lists. It was very good. That's public safety personnel and you civilians. Yeah, I mean, I was technically a civilian as a fireman. I was just pro fireman, but not in the military. So you know what I mean. People that aren't TCG nerds. We should make up a word for that, actually. Like how in Harry Potter they have like muggles, like non-wizard or like non-wizard parent muggle. Civvies? Yeah, I know. That's actually what we'd call our clothing that we would wear off duty. Like you're gonna wear civvies. Yeah, you don't want to miss the final, bro. Yep, so they're just sideboarding right now. We're going to see how this shit plays out. It is best 2 of 3, so Freddie was on the play, and by that, I mean he got to play first, and that was determined by his seed. So in the tournament, it's a Swiss tournament, right? So you run through 6 rounds for over 32 players, which is what we did yesterday, and we ended up going to 5 because we ended up right at 32 players, which is the threshold, right? So basically, the way it works is like based on your wins, losses, you're assigned points, and then there's a rank established. So Freddie had the most amount of points yesterday, so he was the #1 seed going into the top 8, which means every round of the top 8 he gets to play first, which is actually a big advantage, particularly in his deck. So since the last game was won by Freddie, his opponent, Saz, is actually now allowed to choose if he wants to go first or not. He did opt to go first, so we're going to see a play from Saz here in just a minute after they recur their hands. So recurring your hand in this game, basically you look at your cards, the 6 cards you draw, you choose any number of them, put them on the bottom of your library, or in our case, the deck, in any order you'd like, and then you draw that many cards to replenish your hand. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen the card back, we're actually really proud of the card back. Turned out great. We worked with 3, maybe 4 actually designers. And then myself, of course, trying to like compose everything, make it all nice. And I'm really happy with the card backs. They look so good. I'm so happy with those. Dang, 21 viewers. What's up? People want to see some gameplay. I love it. If you guys have a question about the game or like the functionality of TTS or anything like that, just let you know, like what you're seeing right now played on screen is on Tabletop Simulator, and you're able to play that if you have Tabletop on your computer or on your Steam account, I should say. You're able to play Kryptik for free. So you could play opponents just like this. There's little snap zones. Everything's automated. There's buttons that allow you to start, disengage your cards, everything. So this is like pretty much the strongest first play that he could have made, which is an Elgor, which in the Magic world would be in, like a mana dork. He costs 1 black, produces 1 black, or you can engage him to produce 1 black. So he, on his second turn, was able to play a 3-cost card. So he's going to be able to get his opponent to discard cards when Felicity attacks. TCG Breakers crushed me in the first round today. I'm sorry, my friend. He's a beast. My man is a beast. He played a second Fortuity in the Soul Row, which allows him to produce 2 green or 2 blue, or a green and a blue. And we'll see if he's got something to cast this turn. He's probably deciding if he wants to hold up Soul for his, more than likely, he has the 2-drop counter in his hand. So Dead on Arrival is 1 colorless, 1 blue or green, and you're able to counter target citizen. So countering means when they try to cast the citizen, you're able to say, no, you cannot cast that citizen. So now the decision he's likely making is, do I want to play a 2-drop, aka 2-cost citizen card, or do I want to hold up that Soul so that I can counter whatever comes next? LGS Store selling booster decks arriving in August beyond what they ordered in Kickstarter. Yes. Yes, Derek F. There will be a supply headed to Canada via Studio 151 in Toronto. My boy Trey is going to be helping me get some booster decks out in Canada. And then in the United States, Louis from Kitchen Table TCG said that he would like to distribute some of those, probably on his website, but also in his in-person store. So we're going to have some booster decks out in the wild. Card back design, it sounded like rules as long as their sleeve back design ever change or be stuck like MTG. I don't think the main back will ever change, but there may be some specialty stuff that will be a little bit different. Vic, what up, my friend? As long as their sleeve, correct. You just have like non-transparent sleeves in tournaments no matter what, because we've got like the Patreon cards, we've got some other cards that were given as like promos that would be slightly different than the current card back. So as long as they're sleeved and you can't see, the cards are all made on the same stock, so the same weight stock. So you should be good in that regard. You wouldn't be able to tell which one's which by looking at the sleeved card, which is the only real reason we need to do anything like that. Citizen Soul cost 2 or less, cannot attack. Very strong card. That locks down his Eligor as an attacker, but he can still use it to create soul. He's playing Nolan in his deck for the draw. Like, when he destroys an enemy card, you can draw one, probe one. Probing means draw, discard. And then when Nolan dies, you get to draw a card. So he replaces himself on death. He has sidestep, which is evasion. Nolan's just like a very, very strong card. Now he's making a decision on what he wants to do. Fortuity is so cool. Love that card. It's simple. Draw 2. In a world like ours, it is better to be lucky than skilled. Love it. He's throwing Dithy in the Soul Row, which can produce blue. And played an Aurora, one of his favorites. Roll a 6.
And pass to
How are the trophy cards going to be awarded to the winners? Anything special? I was planning on sending them in the mail to them. Do you have any other ideas? Thought that was pretty cool. I'll probably do a show, like maybe a Whatnot stream, where I show the cards off and I say, this is going to you, this is going to you. And then that's probably pretty much about it. I do want to show them off a little bit. Hopefully they end up getting them slabbed. And then, you know, ultimately I want to get them to the winners as soon as possible. I haven't actually received the physical cards yet. Those should be here, I would guess, Tuesday or Wednesday. So those will go out, and then for those who want to sell them, they'll hit the open market, I guess. For those who want to keep them as an actual trophy, they can hang on to them. I really don't care what they do with them, to be honest. It's their card. It's not my business, but I personally would probably want to hang on to it, particularly the champion promo. So he's getting aggressive now. He's tapped out. He's kind of on the back foot. So what Freddy is basically going to have to do now is attempt to find a way to stabilize till he's able to get back at him. It's going to be tough, though. Unrolled Escort. That went to the hand. So, like I was saying earlier, in that moment, he had the decision where he could have played that card if he had the available soul. And if you don't, you draw the card. So he obviously has the board state advantage. These attackers are just going to keep beating up on Freddy. He likely sideboarded Moxie in because that's like a very specific card. And he just tapped 2 to go Hona, 1 blue, 1 green, and he's holding up these 2 fortuities, probably so that he can play a Dead on Arrival, which would counter his opponent's card. Name of the game with control. He does want to have some level of board state, though. It's not like you'd be in Magic where you can just have like a single Planeswalker that just like jacks your opponent up while you're stabilizing, but customize mine by writing toughen up, never draw again. Yeah, the draw. Don't draw unless it's the last round. I mean, you can draw if it's beneficial to you, but you guys, seeding is important. Like, it really is important. Hona here is a 6/6. So if you see on the left, it's a 6. The right's a 6. So that's the attack and the defense. So say Felicity was to attack, Felicity would kill Hona because 8 is greater than 6. Say Eligor was to attack, and he blocked with Ona. Ona would do 6 to Eligor, killing him because he only has 2 defense. But Eligor would also do 6 to Hona, killing her because she only has 6 life. We call it attack and defense. And then Moxie is a 5/7. So interesting. Not selling my Rosa. I am not a huge grader, but I might grade mine. Pancake, I would definitely get that card slabbed. Just do CGC. Like, if you just want it in a nice looking, like very clear, nice slab, do CGC. Because she'll look cool in that as well. I think the Henrys have a place too. I would slap them all, to be honest. CGC, like when they get the card, they might be a little bit like, what is this? But if there's any issues, they'll just email me. Whoa, a really cool artist just emailed me some sick shit. Whoa, that is a trip. Oh my god, that's so cool. All right, I'm gonna have to talk to him when we're off stream. I'm def sending Henry to CGC 1000%. Love that. Then Hona goes to Soro. Big facts. CGC used the Kryptik language designation. So cool. So what he was just saying is Hona, when Hona dies, she actually goes to your Soro engaged. So it's adding a resource to you. So if he blocks here, he actually gets the benefit of having one more resource. As well from the color change and printing, not just tournament standing. Correct. Yeah, the color is all different. So like if you plus one of those out at a game, people are going to go, what the heck is that? And it has the final text. So they are like fully playable, good to go. There's a ruling going on right now. He tried to Charlie's Ascendancy on Hona to buff her to make it trade or to kill Felicity. In response, he capitally punished Hona, killing Hona. And since Charlie's Ascendancy no longer had a valid target, see that period after turn? It goes to draw one. There's another ruling going on right now. I'll explain in a second. That second part, draw one, never occurs. So he was talking about the subject of what's called shadow blocking. If you attack into your opponent's 11-year card and they choose to block, but you're able to remove that blocker, the attack still goes through. It doesn't just fizzle or swing and a miss like it would in Magic. No shadow blocking. Because that never made sense to me. Kaboom, candles, I like it. Great White North, you going to Gen Con? Yes, I am. We're going to be doing a charity box break with the really cool promos with Whatnot. It is actually a Whatnot branded exclusive gangster promo of Adriel, and the Adriel artist Scott Murphy will be attending the stream and physically signing 11 of the foils, and those will be auctioned off, and all the money will be going to the Southern Nevada Burn Foundation, which is my fire department's charity of choice. So the rulings were good. Q told him what was up, and now they've moved on. Freddy seems to kind of be hanging on by a thread right now. And we're going to see how this plays out. He has one 11-year card remaining, which essentially means he has 2 life because you have to be hit one more time after your 11-year card is destroyed. The issue now, though, is that anything that Saz plays that has short time effects will be boosted. Is there any short time cards out so I can show you guys? I don't think there is right now. So basically a short time effect, like say it's short time 2, it checks how many 11-year cards your opponent controls. So if they have 2 or less, you get to use that effect, and it makes the cards more powerful, which incentivizes people to attack. Freddy, TCG Breakers, is on the left, and then Saw in Discord is on the right. He's on like an Ascendant Undead kind of mid-range strategy, and then Freddy's on like pretty much straight up Mystic Control. But Freddy hasn't scooped, so apparently he still thinks there's a possible way out of this. Who knows what he has in his hand. Gonna delay my YouTube birthday party to the 19th because of Gen Con. What is that? So he played Unholy Mess, which destroys all citizens. The card's also focus, meaning he can only play it on the first or second phase of his turn. So you can't do it at instant speed on your opponent's turn, which is really important. Let's see here. And then he was able to draw a card because when Nolan dies, you get to draw one. He also engaged his Eligor to produce one black soul. And the interesting part about this game, as opposed to like Magic, is the soul actually leaves or never leaves until the end of your turn. So it survives phases. Yeah, Unholy Mess is a board wipe for sure. All right. He went and played a Pollux for 1, which is steadfast, meaning that it doesn't engage when it attacks. So basically, Pollux can attack and defend. He said, I sent you. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about with the birthday party shenanigans, but on the 19th, we're going to be in Collecticon. Right? That's this month? Yeah, that's going to be Collecticon Long Beach. So I won't even be in town, my friend. He played a Fiona, which is sidestepper. When she destroys an 11-year card, you may move target citizen from the island to its owner's soul row. So he'd be able to move Pollux to his soul row, which gives him the soul but removes the body. So an important interaction. And Fiona's just cool looking. Look at her. She's got the cool dog. This is her brother, Fionn, with his cool dogs. So Saw's going to combat. He's going to attack with Fiona and Infinity Blade. So as an additional cost to play Infinity Blade, you have to discard a card, abolish a card from your soul row, or destroy target citizen. So he opted to abolish Hona from his soul row. So he's beginning to stabilize. The board states are fairly even, except for he has the Pollux advantage. He has 2 cards in hand. I don't know what they are. I can't see them. I did that so that we couldn't give information to either player. So basically, he's not probably wanting to cast a citizen straight into whatever counter he's holding up, but we will see. If he has a Dithy in his hand, it's not a good situation for him. Because if he goes to cast a citizen and he Dithys it, meaning counters it, and has that body, he's going to be able to start to take the advantage. This is like a late stabilization for this deck right here. Can't wait for the physical cards, dude. You're telling me I can't wait either. Less than a month. Less than a month, we'll have booster decks, and all those promos will go out. So all the Kickstarter backers will have cards in hand. Yeah, this is what we were talking about. So he attempted the Felicity straight into a Dithy. Now he's got Eligor, so at least he's got like a dork up so that he can block, or at this point he probably wouldn't block. He would choose to use it to create soul energy. But since it has to be engaged, it does have to go through a turn, because currently it's wary, and when it's not wary, it's able to use that, but it can't until it goes through his disengage step. But yeah, we're going to get the physical cards out ASAP, and there's event kits with them that are already super kick-ass. And then right after that, we're going to 1,000 stores in the United States will be receiving intro kits via Southern Hobby Distribution, and Prince Distribution in Canada will be sending out 100 stores intro kits that will include booster decks, 2 play mats, and how to play manuals and lore manuals. So it's sick. I mean, it really is cool. That just reminded me I have a to-do list item. I have to make the lore books for the LGSs and get those printed. To do. You and your tea. What tea? Am I a tea drinker? Currently, I'm drinking water, to be honest with you. Chihuahua, very nice. The lighting's actually not bad in here for a warehouse. I mean, it looks pretty decent. He's attempting to cast a Chihuahua. Chihuahua's just a freaking strong-ass card. Allows you to get stuff out from Limbo. Assign an equal number of cards in your soul road to the island, so once he has 6, he's able to target 2 Graka for 3, so it's a good thing. Gabriel Ramirez, what up, my friend? This is an interesting game for sure. The problem is he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up, and we've seen 2 copies of Dythy, so he actually could have another Dythy in hand, or the other 2 counters that could possibly be in his deck. Estrid, very good. So Estrid for 3 bounces a card. So Estrid enters the island. You return target citizen to its owner's hand. So any citizen you choose, which is a very strong effect, of course. Have done an amazing job with Kryptik, with community building, marketing, gameplay, and of course the game itself. Thanks, Casey. We're working on it, my friend. My YouTube is just my name. What's up? It's Doom. Oh, what up, bro? You and your team. I see. Yeah, man, we're trying. We're trying to develop the game in a way that's fun, but also competitively viable. Like you see here, we're in the finals of this tournament, and we've got 2 different decks, very, very different strategies, piloted by like what you would consider a Kryptik professional, right? Like these are pro players on the Kryptik level. Once we have physical in like person tournaments, we can actually name people real pros, but he might have discarded a Dythy early in the game. I'm not sure. I can't access the piles because I made myself spectator just so that I didn't give any information. But we may have already seen the Dythy. I'm not sure. If you were playing the game, that's something you would know. Like Saw is acutely aware of the fact that if he did discard that Dythy, that he doesn't have access to that card. Yeah. So 1 in play, 1 in soul, 1 in discard. You can only have 3 of each card in your deck. So that's something he would definitely be aware of. No. This is not the first. Well, it's the first. It's the final round of the top 8, and it's 1-0 in Freddy's favor. Aeon's from Italy. Good Kryptik to everybody. What's up, my friend? So he's able to dead on arrival his cast. Okay, that's very strong play. Kaboom, what up? We clipped it. He asked us to clip it. That's awesome. So he just threw 3 DOAs in a row. So dead on arrival is a card that counters target citizen. So Osiris was attempted. He dead on arrival. Brutal. This game is actually going long. Interesting. He drew and passed, which is tough because. Yeah, rash judgment.
He could have another dead on arrival, but he could also have a match loss.
So Fionn resolved. He was worried he was going to counter it with some more shenanigans, but he might be out of gas in that realm. So Fionn over here, steadfast, gets 1/1 for every citizen in your soul row. So he gets 3. He's using a die to denote that. You don't need that. That's just a kind of a nice to have. Makes it a little easier to keep track of, maybe. Ona. Enter soul roll and get set up your limbo pile, which is nice. Soul advantage, but saw the card advantage, correct. Yeah, he's going to get a ton of cards before he's able to kill him. So he might just be gearing up for a big strike. Theodore in the art of DOA. Where's Theodore when you need him? Do we have any lore masters in the chat? Where are my candle boys at? Theodore? DOA? I don't know. So Fionn is now a 13-13. Pretty good. Freddy's getting excited. You can hear him occasionally. Nice. Plague Doctor in DOA going to be his own citizen? That's what he's actually asking about above. Diami's cast. We're going to see if Freddy wants to do something about it. I want to see the Trivialize Gal as a citizen card. Fair. That'd be cool. Trivialize is very cool art. He's attempting to attack in with his Fionn, who's a 13-13. Freddy would have the option to double block to kill Fionn. I just don't know if that's really what he needs to be doing right now. He might just chump. But that's a risky maneuver depending on what's in his hand. If he has a bounce effect in his hand, that's not risky. But if he does not, that would be high risk play. Because he could remove the blocker with a removal spell because he has access to the soul. It just depends what he blocked with. Because currently you have capital punishment that could take out Hona or Pollux. So if he chooses to block with them, he capitally punished that. He would be brought down to 0 life. So he wouldn't lose the game. You still have to be struck one more time. But a lot of interesting lines of play that this could go down as. I also don't know how many capital punishments have been played, so.
No, I don't. But I feel like you're trivializing your hand.
He's worried about the trivialize. Understandably so. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about gameplay or about anything related to the game, business-wise, distribution-wise, print-wise, or the rules, whatever you got.
We're gonna target this side.
He's attempting to Infinity Blade the Fionn. To do that as an additional cost, he abolished Dithy from his soul row. And we will see. Yep, he allows it to happen. Fionn's gone. Infinity Blade into the limbo pile. Then Zaw's passed. Interesting stuff, because Freddy's kind of out of gas over here, but he's hanging on for dear life, hoping he can start to claw his way back. Interesting. I wish I could see what his card was, but I didn't want to give information to either side, and being that it's an online tournament, it gets a little tricky. He has quite the board state, though. He's got Hona, Pollux, Estrade, and Dithy, which is interesting, because at one point he was way behind, and now he's actually up on bodies, but significantly down on cards. Budget Blade review, what up? He engaged 2. He's going to attempt to play Charlie's Ascendancy, giving Diami sidestep. We'll see if Freddy has an answer to that. So sidestep would basically be like flying. So if he doesn't have a citizen with sidestep, he's able to freely attack into Freddy with Diami and bring him down to nothing. So he's going to attempt to attack the 11-year card. It's revealed as a Pollux. You know, unfortunately for Saw's, Pollux 11-year cost is 0. So if you guys see in like the bottom left-hand corner, there's that 0 cost on Pollux. When he's destroyed as an 11-year card, or essentially a shield, when that shield is revealed as per the rules, it costs 0 to cast. And the, like, Ono would cost 1. And the colorless stone, so like the gray stone, means anything. So you could use any of the cards in your soul row to go ahead and engage those to cast that card. He did add a Moxie to his soul row, which is interesting. Not sure what he's got in hand. We think we've established that there's no more Dithys, but he could have a Rash Judgment preventing him from playing whatever he wants to play. So, yeah. The problem is he has no citizens with sidestep, so if he's able to play another Charlie's Ascendancy or a similar card, could be tough. Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks. Jim Rossenhauser voice, Tanner, get us in the action. No, I don't know. I know poser, dude. This is my voice. So we'll see what he attempts to play. I mean, he's got a handful of cards, so he's got options. Duke. Duke also has sidestep, which is tough. Yep, citizens your opponent's control get -3/-3, but if you're on short time 2, which he currently is, because Freddy controls 2 or less 11-year cards, they get -5/-5. So just by playing and resolving the Duke Raka, he was able to kill both of Freddy's Polluxes. And now Hona's a 1/1, which is tough. Daithy is a 4/4. Estrid's a 3/2. So it's a play. It's quite the play. Duke's just one of those guys. He's an impressive guy. He's gonna try to swing in with Eligor. So Freddy really is just like hanging on by a thread right here. He's gonna block with Estrid, being that it only does 3. It would actually kill Eligor. Oh, it would not, because Diami gives it +2/+2. So Eligor. He just missed the Diami, so now that he's seeing the Diami, it's all good. All 5 defense citizens die, correct. If your defense goes to 0, you your citizen dies. Hona died, sending her to the soul row. So what he's really hoping for is an unholy mess to wipe the board and give himself a little bit of a chance here. Yeah, so he's attempting it. It's a 5 cost, destroys all citizens, which would destroy his Daithy as well. So he was able to essentially reset the board, but unfortunately for him, he's got 5 cards in hand and a shitload of 11-year cards, so it's going to be very tough to make his way back. He's playing a Nolan, which basically ensures that he's going to be able to sidestep into him if he's not able to deal with the Nolan, which would end the game, or draw cards. So he's just making sure he can keep drawing cards. He has a citizen with an evasion. At the end of his turn, he's actually going to Infinity Blade, which sends Nolan back. But at this point for Freddy, like going 1-for-1, he's trying to do everything he can, but it's going to be tough to claw his way back. Near impossible, I'd say. Yeah, especially with a play like that. Like, that's a good card, but at this point, it's too little too late, more than likely. The one big advantage that this card would give him right now is that he's able to cast cards from his 11-year row, which he was not able to capitalize on. He would actually, in response to that removal spell, though, he would have been able to cast Fortuity if he had the available resource, which he does not. He only has 3, or he only has 2. Oh, but yeah, he only has the 2, so he wouldn't have been able to play it. Clever, what up, my friend? We're in here just playing some Kryptik. The undisputed people's champ of Kryptik, of indie TCGs. Freddy is in a corner. Yeah, it's tough. Sauce was on the play and just had good momentum, and turn 1 Eligor is like, that's good. It's very good. So he got some information. He knows he has Infinity Blade in his hand. He was attempting to draw a card with Aurora's effect, and he scooped. So Freddy accepted defeat there. He knew that he was beat. So we're actually 1-1, actually going into the final game of the finals. So 1-1 right now. Crazy. Duke is back, baby. So Duke 1-1. Strong work. Very interesting, because the good thing about this is that we've got 2 different decks in the top 8 that went to the finals. So we've got a blue-green Mystic Control type deck and a black-white Ascendant mid-range deck. So the decks like really couldn't be any more different, which is awesome. Had a lot of fun playing the early rounds. Super keen to see the deck list of the top 8. Yes, we're working on Google Docs right now that allow you to see the lists and hover over to see images of the cards that will be linked on the website. So, yep. Chaotic, he did scoop, so he is done. Yeah, we're going to have access to those so you guys can get a view of the meta. It's pretty interesting. It's looking pretty diverse. There's at least 4 different strategies that made it into the top 8, so I'm very happy with that. And the fact that 2 totally different strategies made it to the finals is awesome, because it proves that multiple decks are viable, which is exactly what you want. Yeah, Duke Raka, there's been talks of him being a little bit too pushed, which he may be on the push side of things, but he, in my opinion, is not outright broken or pushed to require like a ban or anything crazy like that. Duke won a lot of rounds. I played Duke. Yeah, Duke did well. Duke's the man. Duke's arch nemesis is a 2-drop counter target citizen. And then there's ways to buff your people as well. So we got a lot of options here. But keep in mind, like, we are going to be watching the meta. We're going to be running more tournaments, seeing how everything goes. Once the cards actually get out into the physical world, the game will pretty much be solved within probably a couple weeks. And we're going to go from there and designing Wicked Prophecy. Change in short time makes blue-green decks less dominant. I would agree with that statement for sure. But also a blue-green Mystic Control deck is in the finals, and he didn't drop a single game. And he's the #1 seed. So still a very viable strategy. Neither of these players dropped an entire game. And if you by that, I mean neither of them lost a game. Not they didn't lose a match. They didn't lose a game. They 2-0'd every match in the entire tournament, both of these players. So they both were pretty much completely dominant. And now they've got some back and forth. They're 1-1 for the first time in the entire tournament. They're 1-1, so it just proves that they're the ones that belong here. The meta has been solved, that's for sure. Aurora blue-green counter. No. The meta has not been solved. Trust me, my friend. The amount of people that are going to be playing this game when physical cards hit stores is going to like 10x overnight. Trust me, nothing's been solved. Don't actually have counter skills to protect him from kill spells. Exactly. Balance. A lot of upside, but also unable to protect. Less upside on the other side, but able to protect. Balance. Yeah, if you think blue-green Aurora counter is the best deck, undisputed, just because it wins an individual tournament doesn't necessarily mean that's true, my friend. The idea is that the meta shifts in order to combat the top decks, or a second tier strategy can actually win against that deck and then ascends into top tier status. And it's kind of like a revolving thing. So the meta is not always just stagnant and boring. It's changing and people are coming up with new ways to do things. Every single game goes through the exact same cycle. And also they're 1-1 in the finals. So he was able to get a game on him. But he was the #1 seed, so he got to go first, and then Saz got to go first. Now, of course, Freddy, being the loser of the last game, gets to go into the final game of the final round, playing first on his control strategy. So the meta requires the ability to draw and ramp enough. Duke's weakness, yep. Yeah, the physical card is going to just... The amount of games that are going to be played is just going to be, like, insane, and people will solve the game. That's just inevitable. But the idea is that they'd be able to kind of like be like a revolving door where different strategies are good at different times. I do wonder if first turn in this matchup is critical. According to Freddy, it's important for his strategy. He said he's played decks that it's not as important, but on this deck in particular, it's very important. Connection's a bit jumpy. Oh well, my friend. We'll get him next time. The internet at the warehouse is not the best. No gigabit over here. It's bullshit. This is an interesting matchup because these do appear to be like the top 2 strategies in the game right now. So it'll be interesting to see how things shape up. And as Duke Raka decks get a little crazy. NF, what happened to the mullet? Well, clearly I cut it off my head. I got a haircut, bro. And then we only have 150 card pool. So there's only so many things you can do to solve certain problems and to respond to certain deck building choices. So in the future, when we have 300 cards, then we'll have 450 cards, and we'll have 600 cards. Then it can really, really start to get interesting. This is just our start. This is the base for our game. This is us dipping our toe in the water of like initial game design. So what we're able to accomplish here, in my opinion, is just nuts. The game is balanced. It's fun. People like the mechanics. And as we implement new mechanics and new fun cards and balance the game even further, I truly believe that the amount of people collecting and playing Kryptik will be equal, which is the goal. We're designing our sealed product in a way that it's appealing to both. So the whole appeal to both sides of things, you know? At the end of the day, these are cards to play with, but they are also highly collectible. And we recognize both, and how you engineer your booster box is so important. Like, if anybody, because a lot of people hit me up for advice on their games and shit. If you're going to concentrate on one thing in this game, it's your booster box. How good is your booster box? How good are the pulls? How cool is the art? How well is it packaged? The number of booster boxes, how you're going to distribute those booster boxes. It's all about your booster box. That is the star of the show. Nothing should ever take a backseat to the booster box. And that's how you keep box prices high, because that's what everyone pays attention to be honest. And you create demand through play, collectability. Some people will flip the product, of course. So a healthy secondary market, something that I don't intervene with directly, but I definitely pay attention to. I want you guys to have the best of all worlds. So like the booster decks will allow you to get cheap playable cards so you can build your decks. And then the booster boxes allow you to chase those really baller, like beautiful foil cards. And also know that you're putting money into something that's not just going to plummet in value the next week. Make the booster box the key product. It's the only way. It is the star of the show. Absolute most important thing. Yeah, baby. So Freddy's off to an early lead, if you want to call it that. He's down. Saw's is down 11 year card. He has an Esther and Aurora out, which is strong. People really like Aurora. Now he's determining which card he's going to look at randomly. UGC is running a collector packs, collector box, collector sets that eclipse the booster box. Yeah, I think those can come and be next to the booster box or slightly beneath the booster box, but that needs to be your main concentration. I do think starter decks are important as well. I think our booster deck, being that it's a bit cheaper and more accessible, is actually like a superior version of that. So I think that those are important as well, but I think that the booster box for like the overall health of your game it's key. And the fact that our booster box can be used to run draft events solo, so like you don't need land box, tokens, counters, anything like that. A store owner can just pull a booster box off the shelf, go set it on the table, and you have everything you need for an 8-person draft event. Pretty amazing. Love the starter decks that have 1 or 2 booster packs inside too. Best entry point for any game, in my opinion. Yeah, you're not totally wrong on that. They're a little pricier for some people, and it's like some people kind of have a hard time understanding. Like, not saying this is you at all, but the difference between $10 and $20 is very real to some people. So some people, that will be the difference whether they can afford to play your game or not. So my hope is that the $10, $12-ish for booster decks, I don't know what they're going to cost in the beginning, because once they're out on the market, I can't control that. But I'm hoping the $10, $12 price point will be a reasonable entry, and then the $25, $30 in the future, when we want to have the really baller starter decks with like 3 to 4 booster packs, like a real true starter experience, will be more for the people that have a little more dough. And then they can obviously build their decks from there by purchasing a box or singles on the secondary market. There won't be any starter decks for Wave 2 of Genesis. We'll have the booster decks like in line with the Kickstarter starter decks and the Wave 2 boxes, but the Wicked Prophecy will of course have starter decks. And the goal for Wicked Prophecy is April. Never asked you how drafting with 4 to 6 people, you know it's going to be hard to get 8 at the beginning. You can do the same thing. Just do less packs. Same exact thing. Set up your bracket however you want. It's all detailed in the rule book. What your options are. So he's able to draw a card. Aurora's effect, you choose a card randomly, look at it, you choose citizen or spell. If he guesses correctly, he gets to draw a card. Very strong effect. He's going to try to play a Somber Sacrifice at the end of his turn. He has to look at his 11-year cards, place 1 in the soul row, engage, draw 1. So he gets to ramp 1, also gets all the information of his 11-year cards, and the card replaces itself. So Somber Sacrifice is very strong, if you want to take a look at it again. Cost 2, produces black or white, so it's versatile in that way. Just a good card. I just got the results from the game for 3rd and 4th. Looks like Nightmare beat Angry 2-1, so it's just cool to see that they're going 2-1 and not 2-0 each other. Towards the end, the right players all ended up being in the final semifinals, which is really cool. All right, he casted a Felicity. Let's see what we can do here. It's looking like Freddy start to kind of slowly but surely edge his way into the advantage. We'll see. So what he just did there is he paused for a while and he decided if he was going to counter this card or not. So that could be one of two things. That could be that he has a legitimate counter in his hand and he's actually considering whether he wants the card to resolve or not. Or he could potentially be bluffing a counter that his opponent will then continue to play around. Interesting. Given that he has a lot of counter options in his deck and he has 5 cards in hand, I would say the likelihood of him having a counter is very high. Not sure how many exactly he's played so far, but he likely has some sort of counter in his hand. Can try to cast Nolan. So he let Felicity resolve. Let's see if he has a counter in hand, because if he does, he'll likely counter the Nolan, because this allows his opponent to draw one when he dies. And if he does destroy an 11-year card, he's going to start to gain a card advantage, which Freddy definitely doesn't want. So if he does have a counter in hand, he'll likely play it. If it's a Dithy, that's actually pretty bad for Saws, which appears it's a Rash Judgment. Yeah, also something to consider with Brownwin, he's able to play a card from hand or his Soul Row. He opted to play the one from his hand that time to keep his Soul Row intact. But with Brandwin's ability, you're able to play one from Soul. So he would have been able to actually play Rash from Soul. So his opponent obviously has that information because he can see right here. So Fiona came in as a sidestep attack. He played Charlie's Ascendancy prior to blocks, giving Estrid +6/+6 in sidestep, and chose to block with Estrid, which would kill Fiona. Fiona goes limbo. Well played. Yeah, chaotic. I noticed that a little bit after. So he's going to roll the die, do the Aurora effect. 2, so it's that card right there. He missed, but he does know now that he has Capital Punishment, which actually currently is not useful to him because he has no 2 or 1 drops on the island. Play another Aurora. He's actually able to Aurora again. So he's going to shuffle his hand to make it like truly random again, which, you know, whatever. Whoa! The die went into... Oh! Nolan. All right, let's see what he's got. Think Freddy has this one? I tend to agree with you on that one. Just because he's stable, he's got soul up every turn. He can bounce these. I mean, he just has that like purebred control deck. It's interesting because I think that these are going to go tit for tat in the meta. I think that the blue-green strategy, which very few people came with to this tournament, very few, versus Duke Raka, which many, many more came with. There was also a strategy that ended up getting 4th, I believe, that would be like a pure aggro strategy. So like the top 4 having at least 3, but I think 4 different decks. Pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. It shows that everything's viable. Yeah, he definitely has a large advantage at this time. We concentrate on the game first. You know, I think that's why it's showing that it's good, it's fun, it's balanced. Like, people go back and forth, and that's the whole damn point. Then I went in on concentrating on the business. The star of the show, the booster box. I'm big on that. That's like our ethos. Like, that's our slogan around here is like the booster box is the king of the show, is the most important thing. Yep, there's a human aggro strategy in the top 8. The deck list will all be available after this. There he is. Yeah, Iceberg, I actually had that deck to be in the top, knowing that it had a tough matchup with obviously Duke Master. But maybe a little bit better matchup against the control strategy. I'm not really sure how those matches played out, but he just played an Underworld Escort. So he's revealing top 4 cards of his deck. Target splits them into 2 piles. You choose one to go to your hand. Other goes to your limbo. So he can give him 2 and 2. He can put 3 in one pile, 1 in another pile for him to choose card volume over quality if there's an individual card he really wants. I barely beat human aggro in the 3rd round. It was an intense match. That's good. That's exactly what I like to hear, my friend. That's a viable strategy. I think if somebody like really fine tunes it and hones in on a few very specific cards, maybe even increase your willingness to treat cards like they are one color and not worry about the fact that they're 2 colors and you're kind of losing access to that other color. He took those 2, nice. Yeah, exactly. Like my matchup with Duke, sideboarded poorly, didn't test enough to optimize it. Keep on going, baby. We'll run another tourney soon so we can see how things play out. But I imagine it'll be like the Mystic control strategy, the kind of Ascendant heavy Duke strategy. I believe possibly a Reanimator strategy was in the top 16, so that might be more of like a fringe. And then, of course, the human aggro. So it's cool to see all 3 factions represented in the top 4. Yeah, exactly. Seems to be undead. Still a decent number of undead in other decks. Exactly. Like the Ascendant strategy with Chihuahua and Noland are very popular cards to throw into the Ascendant strategy. I think that a pure Reanimator strategy is viable. I just don't think anybody's tuned it yet. And I'm pretty sure there was like the pure undead Reanimator decks in the top 16. We'll have to take a look. Maybe the top 8. That would be great. I know one was close, so we'll have to take a look. I'll probably try to dial in a Reanimator strategy myself. It's like the fun. I think those decks are so fun. There's not a ton of Limbo pile hate. There's really just Midnight Meander, which people sideboarded, which they probably didn't even end up boarding in almost at all. Capital Punishment is a spell, so he missed. He has to do it twice because he has 2 Auroras. Oh, made it. Nice. So you guys draw one. Let's see what Freddy's going to do. He's gained quite the card advantage. His Auroras have hit a couple times, which is really strong. Yeah, Aurora is really strong. Yeah. Ooh, Estrid. So he played the Pollux and the Soro. He's got blue, and blue. He's just trying to be as efficient as possible with his spend. Return Felicity to the hand with the effect of Estrid. May return target citizen to its owner's hand. So basically, what I'm talking about with the efficiency and like doing things correctly is like Pollux can only produce blue, but Fortuity can produce green. So if you have something that costs blue, why would you use something that can do both when you can use one that only does one? If that makes sense. Just playing smart. The game is so young that there's a lot of not a lot of pro tier players experimenting. Yeah, these are like these 2 Saws, and even in the top 4, like Angry and Nightmare would be considered like really like spike pro tier type people. I know that both of these players have like a ton of experience. So the player in our finals chose to optimize the blue-green control strategy and the Duke strategy. They're probably 2 of the stronger strategies. Dropped a Nolan, very nice. Nolan resolves. So So he chose to Infinity Blade Nolan, which would allow him to draw a card. Swole, yes, this is the finals. And Freddy currently has what looks like an edge. So he's able to draw off the Aurora effect again. So he's not able to draw on that one. So he's getting like a large card advantage and also like depleting him slowly but surely. So it's looking like Saz is probably not going to win this one. No, the final pairings were to see who gets first, second, third, and fourth. So like there's essentially like a loser's bracket that starts when you go to top 8, and 4 players that lose play each other to try to get 5th through 8th. 90% chance? Yeah, I'm going to go like 95. Very unlikely that there's a string of cards that he could play that he does not now have an answer for. Aurora's Ravenous, so she's able to target 2. He said 95%. So Felicity will go ahead and block. And they just break even. Unless, boom. Aurora, Charlie's Ascendancy, giving Aurora sidestep. So he granted Aurora sidestep, but it was still blocked by Felicity. Yeah. Yeah, Gabriel, you're not wrong. This is game 3. They're 1-1 currently, which is a great thing because it shows there's 2 different decks in the meta that could rise to the very tippy top, and that they're even enough to where they could go 1-1 on a match. So like, as far as balance goes, I'm really, really happy about how all this played out. Yep, this will be the final game and determine the winner of the tournament and the winner of that juicy ass Juturna promo card. So good. It's so good. That's a 1 of 1 because there's only one champ. So we'll see how crazy people go over that. Hopefully he'll get it slabbed. Swole says, wow. Yep, Freddy's in there. Didn't win yet, but if he does, he will be the champion. He'll get that champion promo, baby. He's just picking him apart now. He's just breaking him down, basically. Yep. He's going to have to come up with 5 blockers, which is not impossible, but that's just to survive. So it's tough. Even a Duke right now wouldn't do him much good. So probably likely not super far from scooping. Scooping meaning giving his opponent the game, forfeiting essentially. How's the balance of the music in my voice? I tried to dial it in. Yeah, I think he's kind of just looking at the state of things and just kind of trying to determine like if it's even remotely possible for him to win. And if not, he will likely just say, good game. Or not. Fight to the very, very end. Oh, he's playing something. Mav, what up? Conceding defeat. So you're giving your opponent the game win, which in this case would also give him the match win, making him the champ. Tries to play Dami. He's able to rash judge him out of the Soul Row with Bronwyn, which is really crazy. Rash actually would go to abolish, but that's just an accident by him. Yeah, he's able to rash, and he wins. Nice. Duke and everyone gets minus 4 much balls kill, which I don't think he has in his deck. I don't know. It wouldn't have mattered because he was able to counter them both anyways. He has 8 cards remaining in his deck, so if you run out of cards and go to draw, you lose. And Saz was just saying that he almost decked himself. So that's going to be it, guys. Any last minute questions you guys have or anything? Hope you enjoyed the coverage of the finals. Freddie was able to take him out. They did go 1-1, which is cool. So if that's all, I'm going to go ahead and peace out, talk to these guys, and start getting everybody's prizes ready and get those shipped out next week. And that's it, my friends. Peace.